My pleasure to present to you Bruce Fraley, our wonderful mayor of the city of Berea.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate that. And I have to start by saying, wow, what a crowd. When I look out and see so many friends and people here today, it's nice to see everybody. And I'll begin by thanking the Berea Chamber of Commerce for their efforts to plan and organize the State of the City presentation. Shortly after the November election, representatives from the Chamber contacted me and invited me to deliver the State of the City address in January, and I gladly accepted that invitation. It's hard to believe that over 2 months have passed since the election, but they have, and here we are. I also want to recognize Mary Ann and Bill West, the owners of Churchill's. They have restored this treasured and historic Berea landmark into the beautiful event center that you see today. Bill and Mary Ann, I don't know where you are, but you have done wonderful and remarkable work on this facility, and those efforts should never go unrecognized. So thank you all. And now let's jump right into the State of the City, shall we? Municipal government exists to provide services to the citizens. In our city, the mayor, City Council, and City Administrator provide management, vision, leadership, and establish policy for those services. But the employees of each of our city departments are the people who deliver services and deserve the credit for delivering service to the citizens of Berea, Kentucky. It's very important for all of you to know about the good work that's being done by our city staff. In that light, I asked for input from our city department heads as I was preparing the State of the City address. By asking for their feedback on accomplishments and challenges faced by each department. I will begin by sharing some of their feedback along with my views on the accomplishments and challenges by department. I'd like to start with the Codes and Planning Department. The Codes Office had a busy year, issuing 176 building permits. 70 of those permits were for new houses and 22 were for commercial projects. Additionally, they issued 96 mechanical permits and 201 electrical permits last year. Perhaps the most important accomplishment of the Codes Office was issuing a certificate of occupancy for the 134,000 square foot new science building at Berea College last August. This was the largest building that our Codes Office has been responsible for since the inception of the Expanded Jurisdiction Program, which is a contract with the state of Kentucky to perform commercial inspection and plan reviews at the local level. It was a great educational opportunity for the code staff, as well as an assessment of their technical code knowledge. Now, challenge for the Codes and Planning Department. The Codes Department is addressing several significant complaints of trespassing and illegal occupancy, particularly involving vacant and abandoned properties. Additionally, Codes Office deals with several hundred nuisance complaint calls each year, which range from high grass to rubbish removal. So dealing with those complaints is one challenge moving forward. We must ensure that our building code is enforced while continuing to be as business friendly as possible to entrepreneurs, commercial business, and large employers who are interested in making an investment in Berea. Next, we'll move to Berea Municipal Utilities Department. Our Utilities Department has successfully mapped and identified all of our water, sewer, and electric infrastructure, which enables us to more successfully plan, coordinate, and design projects. We will be able to use the mapping system to replace and repair aging utility infrastructure on an incremental basis. Upgrades at our 2 electric substations has allowed us to balance our electric loads within the city. This is a positive development because we're now capable of switching in an emergency and outage situation. Our new water leak detection equipment has allowed us to identify the precise location of water leaks throughout the city. This has resulted in decreases in water loss and a savings in staff time. Flow monitoring has been completed for 100% of our wastewater collection system, allowing our staff to identify problem areas and prioritize needed upgrades. The utility staff continues to pursue funding through state and federal agencies. We currently have $2.4 million in grant proceeds for water and wastewater system improvements. Increasing our water supply by raising the dam at Owsley Fork Reservoir is on track. We recently received $950,000 in federal funding for the design phase of this project and will continue working with the Army Corps of Engineers until the project is complete. Lastly, within utilities, we must immediately begin planning for our wholesale electric needs, power needs from 2024 and beyond. Next, I'd like to move to the Public Works Department. The Public Works Department had many accomplishments over the past year, including finalizing the installation of a city fiber optic network that links all critical city buildings, working with the contractor to complete the Indian Fork Trail project along Shortline Pike, completing the integration of computer network, phone systems, and camera systems in the new City Hall building, working with utility staff to renovate the Berea Municipal Utilities Building, which improves public service access, resurfacing 7,579 feet of city streets, and working with the City Council's Public Works Committee to develop a comprehensive list of drainage projects. There are also several challenges facing the Public Works staff. Providing funding for our aging streets must be a priority. Some of our older streets are falling into disrepair due to age and inadequate drainage. For the most part, the city has relied on municipal road aid funding to maintain our streets, but these state funds are being reduced for all cities around our state, while within Berea, the number of accepted roadway miles are increasing. Municipal road aid funds are not sufficient to provide proper maintenance of our city streets. We will need to develop a plan on how to address this problem and how to fund ongoing repair of our city streets. Secondly, we must continue working with the state for a solution for improving state-maintained and state-owned highways within the city. Almost all of our major roadways in the city are state-owned, but the state does not always provide maintenance, leaving it to the city. This diverts city resources from streets owned by the city. Third, we must provide funding for drainage projects in many areas of the city. And fourth, we must invest in the improvement of our city sidewalks, which will improve accessibility and safety for our citizens. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about the GIS department. And if you're like me, you had to look up what GIS stands for. It's Geographic Information Systems, which is surveying. GIS is managing the Indian Fork Trail project, which allows citizens and tourists to safely walk or bike from the Berea Municipal Utilities Building, parking lot to the Pinnacles, and the new Berea College Forestry Outreach Center at Indian Fork. The complete Indian Fork Trail is 3.2 miles long. By comparison, the Artisan Trail is 3.4 miles from the Berea College Farm Store to the end of Maydee Road. The final details of this project should be wrapped up by spring. Plans are also coming along for the 0.6 mile long Scaffold Cane Trail from Prospect Street to Logston Lane. This trail will allow residents to walk from Logston Lane to Berea College safely. Right now, that's been an age-old problem with people walking along Scaffold Cane Road. GIS is also working with Berea College to build a 0.7 mile crushed stone trail that will travel along Brushy Fork from Boone Street to Scaffold Cane Road. This trail will follow the original Boone Trace, the route blazed by Daniel Boone and his axemen nearly 250 years ago. The Brushy Fork Trail is already laid out, and we expect construction to begin in the spring of 2019. The GIS department is also working with our consulting engineers on the Cherry Road Stormwater Project, which we plan to divert approximately 40% of the stormwater that currently flows through a single culvert under the railroad at the end of Cherry Road. The objective of this project is to mitigate and to minimize flooding at the east end of Cherry Road at Holly Hill by relieving the burden of water on that single drain under the CSX Railroad. While we're talking about GIS, I also want to mention a new innovative project called Land Information System, and everything has to have an acronym, so it's LIS, Land Information System. The GIS Survey Department is set up to begin scanning hundreds of old plats and survey drawings that we have stored in our archives. GIS staff will index the drawings by location, owner, and date, which will allow city employees to determine easements, rights-of-way, and ownership history of property throughout the city. Having a land information system will be a significant time saver for Public Works and GIS in making our property research efficient. And, pardon me, I got my notes mixed up there. Next, I'd like to move on to the fire department. The most significant event with the fire department over the last year was adding a new Quint ladder truck to our first line of response. This apparatus allows the department personnel to have a ladder truck on every call with the capacity of pumping at any fire. Most importantly, the new ladder truck is equipped with state-of-the-art battery-powered vehicle extraction equipment, which gives our firefighters the ability to quickly extract patients that are involved in a motor vehicle accident. Along with the police department, fire department personnel completed another very successful first responders camp in 2018 for our area youth, and we're looking forward to 2019. An ongoing challenge for the fire department is recruitment and retention. Next, I'd like to turn to the Parks and Recreation Department. Accomplishments for Parks and Recreation Department over the past year include completion of the new Guy Duerson Stadium and installing a new filtration system at the city swimming pool, a project that was completed in-house and under budget. Additionally, the new splash pad will be complete and ready to be open to the public in the summer of 2019. It's reported to me that city swimming pool attendance totaled almost 22,000 people in 2018. The Parks and Recreation staff members are working with Vesio Sports Fields to improve drainage at the ballparks and to upgrade our current fields. Youth League numbers were higher in 2018, and the Parks Department staff redoubled their efforts to facilitate those numbers. Lastly, we have a new playground at City Park, which has been chosen as a model site for this region and is also on the cover of Little Tykes International Catalog. The challenges identified for our park system include accommodating growth, providing adequate programs to fulfill the different needs of our community, teenage community engagement, limited indoor and outdoor space within our current park boundaries, and the need for multi-use space. Next, we'll turn to the police department. The Berea Police Department has been very involved with community engagement. The department continues to support community programs such as Too Good for Drugs, Christmas with a Cop, First Responder Summer Camp, Madison County Citizens Police Academy, active shooter programs, and neighborhood watches, and also using social media applications to communicate with neighborhood groups. Staff at the police department are proud of their new workspace, which allows them to better serve the citizens in our community. The new space offers greatly improved interview rooms for crime victims. The new facility also has a secure drop box where citizens can dispose of unused medications. Along with the first responders in our fire department, the city provided a pay increase for staff at the police department in 2018. This makes the department more competitive within the regional job market. Providing for public safety is perhaps the most important function of any city government. Looking forward, we need to focus on retaining our current police department staff, and we have a clear need to put more police officers on the streets. As our population grows, our need for law enforcement also grows. Additionally, Chief Gregory recently applied for a grant to cover the cost of a social worker position. It is important for the city to invest in a social worker who will serve as liaison between the City Police Department and the Kentucky Cabinet for Health and Family Services. We envision that the social worker will assist members of the community in situations including domestic violence, child abuse and neglect, financial hardship, mental health issues, and other behavioral health issues including addiction, homelessness, and human trafficking. Having a social worker on staff will allow us to start the ANGEL program to address the substance abuse disorder epidemic in our community. The ANGEL program is having a positive results in several Kentucky cities, including Georgetown and Jeffersontown. Next, we'll move to the tourism department. Our tourism department received several awards over the past year, including the 2018 Economic Engine Award from the Kentucky Tourism Industry Association, the 2018 Bronze Traverse Award for Discover Berea Marketing Campaign, and the 2018 Silver Traverse Award for the Festival of Learn Shops event material. The Festival of Learn Shops program continues to grow from its beginning in 2011. In 2018, we had 20 days of programming, 81 instructors, 1,292 tickets sold, and over $106,000 in revenue. Additionally, Berea Tourism will be partnering with the Kentucky Artisan Center in 2019. They will host an exhibit of works of the Learn Shop instructors from June through October. Along with attracting visitors to our city, future challenges for our tourism department include relocation of the toll building, the future use of the L&N train depot, and replacing retiring artisans. Moving forward, I envision a multi-dimensional approach to tourism. I believe we can invest tourism funds in projects that the citizens of Berea can use and enjoy while also attracting visitors to our city. Recent investment of tourism funds in our trail system and the new splash pad at our city pool are good examples. Lastly, we must ensure that our tourism department and business development department work together, as tourism should be part of our overall economic development strategy. Moving on to Business and Economic Development Department. As most of you know, our former Business Development Director, Danny Isaacs, accepted a position with the Tennessee Valley Authority last August. We hired a new director, Tess Fay, in September, but she was only on the job for a short time until she accepted another position in South Carolina. Filling this vacant position will be key in 2019. City Administrator Randy Stone, former GIS Director Paul Schrader, and part-time staff member Beth Myers have been handling economic development activities and will continue to do so until a new director is hired. In 2018, we funded a grocery study for our city. The results of the study clearly indicated that our city can support an additional grocery store. The Economic Development Department and the City Council's Economic Development Committee hosted a site visit from a large national grocery chain in 2018. However, the prospect does not plan to locate a new store in Berea in the near future. We must continue our efforts to utilize the data from the grocery study to attract an additional grocer to our city. It is imperative for our city to create and maintain an economic development climate which encourages new business and entrepreneurship. We must focus on providing low-cost or no-cost training for small business and entrepreneurs, attracting commercial business, and attracting large employers to our city. We must also remain aware of the importance of keeping our current industry and helping all business in Berea to succeed. Additionally, we must always be as business-friendly as possible in our approach to economic development. Expansion of the Madison County Regional Airport will have a significant impact on our city in terms of attracting business and industry to our city and helping us to keep our current industry. We must continue to support and invest in the expansion and modernization of our airport. Additionally, It is time for us to plan a second entrance to the Menalus Industrial Park. I will be requesting funding in fiscal year 2020 budget to lay out the center line of a new access road from US 25 to Ferristown Industrial Drive, which will connect US 25 and both Menalus Road and Maydee Road. We will be working with our elected representatives at the state level and the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet as we plan for this future access road. Moving on to the Finance Department. The Finance Department took over the utility billing and collections function last April. This alignment has offered tightened internal controls and dedicated oversight of transactions related to utility billing. This has proven to be beneficial to utilities customers in that the new location is more centrally located and offers more convenient payment options, including a drive-through window and secure drop box. We welcomed a new audit firm during 2018. At the request of the City Council Audit and Finance Committee for a new set of eyes, a request for proposal was issued in early 2018 and a new audit firm was selected. The city received a clean audit in 2018. With no audit adjustments and no internal control weaknesses identified, the competence and dedication of our employees in the Finance Department was validated. I am pleased to report that our city is in strong financial position. The city's net position often serves as an indicator of government's financial condition. Simply stated, the net position is the amount of assets that exceeds liabilities. At fiscal year end, the city had a net position of $61,785,000. However, even more importantly than the total net position at any given time is that the net position continues to increase year after year. Between fiscal year 2017 and 2018, net position rose by over $2.3 million. This is an indication that the city is investing in assets while paying down debt. During fiscal year 2018, the city's assets grew by nearly $11 million, almost $3 million of which consisted of cash, investments, and other short-term assets. Much of this is a direct result of the city's dedication to providing ample reserves to fund future projects and to protect against unanticipated financial downturns. The city's long-term liabilities grew by $8.3 million. Two primary factors contributed to this increase. First, the city received a 40-year bond to construct the police, fire, and city hall facilities. Second, the city's portion of the net pension liability related to the county employee retirement system increased significantly. While the city is not directly responsible for paying down this net pension liability, we are still required to include it in our financial statements, and it's still considered part of the city of debt. The city's overall financial strength was accentuated when Moody's increased the city's credit rating to an AA3 rating in 2018. Moody's noted in their rating opinion that, quote, Berea's financial position will likely remain healthy and stable due to conservative budgetary practices and history of maintaining a strong fund balance position. Revenue from occupational license fees continues to fund the majority of government operations. Revenue from utility services offsets the cost of providing those utilities to our citizens. Federal and state grants help offset the cost of both governmental and utility construction projects. Citywide non-grant related revenue grew by nearly $2 million during fiscal year 2018. We are currently more than half the way through fiscal year 2019, and forecasts indicate that we will once again finish strong. Moving beyond the reports for our specific departments, I would like to share with you 5 additional priorities I have as mayor. First, I'm very pleased to hear that the new superintendent of Madison County Public Schools, David Gillum, has announced plans to build 2 new vocational technical schools in Madison County, with one being in Berea next to Ferristown Middle School. The city must provide support for this project by completing a needs analysis of current industry. The data collected from the needs analysis will help Superintendent Gillum justify the need for expanded programs, which will ultimately help industry. I have spoken with Mr. Gillum on several occasions and have assured him that the City of Berea is fully supportive of this initiative. Secondly, I am pleased to report that we're starting the strategic planning process, and that began on Monday, January 28th. The Kentucky League of Cities is facilitating this process, which involves the mayor, the city council, city administration, department heads, and the public. We are planning to request feedback from citizens at a public meeting in early March. It is critical that we have a shared vision on the issues that we need to address over the near term and the long term as we make decisions that will affect the future of our city. Third, I plan to establish a strong presence in Frankfort. I made several visits to Frankfort over the past 2 years and plan to be in Frankfort regularly again this year. It is imperative that we have a strong working relationship with our state representatives. Our greatest need for state funding is Phase 2 of the Berea Bypass, which will extend the bypass from US 25 to Kentucky Highway 21. This project is scheduled for fiscal year 2020, and recent contact with Senator Jared Carpenter, who's here today, and State Transportation District 7 staff gives us cause for optimism. Fourth, I plan to strengthen our city's working relationship with Mayor Robert Blythe and County Judge Executive Reagan Taylor. We have agreed to meet regularly to share ideas and discuss common issues affecting all three governments. Lastly, one of my priorities as mayor is to bring people together. I ask for all of your help in promoting unity in our city. If we are divided, we will accomplish less. We will accomplish more if we're united. In conclusion, the state of the city is excellent. We are in a strong financial position and delivering service to the citizens of Berea in an exemplary manner. However, we are not without challenges as we move forward toward the new decade in fiscal year 2020. We will be able to meet those challenges with effective management, proper planning, and fiscal responsibility. The most important part of Berea's continued success is coming together to build the city that we all want to see in the coming decade. Together, we can continue to move Berea forward for the betterment of all citizens. I am truly grateful for the opportunity to serve the citizens of Berea, Kentucky. Thank you. Thank you all very much. I want you to know that I really tried to put a lot of effort into the State of the City address. If you drove by the last couple of nights and you saw lights on in the mayor's office, I didn't forget to turn them off. I was there. But it's important to me to be representative of all of you. And as I hope you heard during the presentation, it's important to recognize the good work of the people who really get the work done in the city of Berea, and that's the employees. So the next time you see them, I encourage you to thank them for what they do. And I know, David, we wanted to take some time for questions. Hopefully I haven't gone on too long.
We have a microphone set up back by the dumbwaiter. We can take maybe 3 or 4 questions. If you would, just go back to that microphone and address Bruce from there. So, questions? Don't be bashful. Emily says she's going to ask the questions she's been getting for her dad. So we need a couple of folks to step up if you have questions. Anybody? Be bashful.
We just have to stand here till somebody asks a question. While we're waiting for questions, I mentioned Mary Ann and Bill West. And in case you didn't notice the little sash that Mary Ann had on, today is her birthday. So happy birthday to Mary Ann. Now that everybody's loosened up, somebody can ask a question. I'd really be happy to take any questions. What's that?
I'm 29.
She's 29. Anybody?
I'm going to ask a question, Bruce.
Yes, sir. Senator Carpenter.
It'll be an easy one. But that's the first time I've heard anything about the connector road on May out to 25, and that's kind of weird for me not to have heard that already. And maybe maybe it hadn't been talked about previously, but I think that's a good idea. Can you expand on that just a little bit?
I will. Jared, this is something that Randy and I had talked about for several months, and it's something that I'm just announcing today. This is the first time that it's been publicly announced. The city of Berea has right-of-way all the way from 25 to the end of Ferristown Industrial Road, where it ends there and as the cul-de-sac. What we think is that it will provide greater access to the industrial park, all the industrial land that's through there, if we connect it both ways. And that seems to be the best possibility for a new road project going forward. I know that these things take time. You and I have talked about the length of time that it took to get the bypass on, and again, Senator Carpenter was instrumental in getting that back on track because we'd actually been removed from the 6-year plan. So we were able to get that started. But this idea, I think, will help us with attracting people to the industrial park. Having the school there has been a blessing. I think that it's a beautiful school. I know your son goes there, and the plans for the new vocational school will be right beside that. But one of the things we've had with industrial prospects is where the school's there, I think they kind of are concerned about running trucks through there. So I think if we are able to provide that entrance through the back way, that's going to help us to make the industrial property that exists there now much more attractive. And of course, we'll look forward to working with you and Deanna Frazier, who's here today as well, and others in Frankfurt as we move forward. We know that project's going to be a little bit out there, but it's something I think we need to start planning for now.
Makes perfect sense. Especially, I'd say Superintendent Gillum will be glad because that'll be another school bus route.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But we really look forward. I've known David Gillum since I was a young man, and his dad gave me my first haircut. So it's been really nice to get to.
I'm not going to let him give me no.
No. Look what he did to me. Don't tell Johnny that. But it's been really nice to work with David since he took over as superintendent, and I know that vocational schools are, if not his highest priority, at least one of his highest priorities. And I think that's something that's desperately needed. One thing, Jared, as you know, we've talked about this, that if we can get kids in vocational training and help teach them about the jobs that exist in our local economy, a lot of the students in our high schools don't know that you can go to STEMCO and make $40,000 starting out as an engineer. So it's an educational process and a training process that has to happen together. Of course, we want to keep our best and brightest here, but I think if we can give people hope when they're in high school, they see that, hey, I can stay in Berea and I can make a living, and I can support a family and live the American dream, then hopefully young people won't turn to some of the bad things that they're turning to today. I think it's important to do that. I think it's all related and ties together. Thank you, Senator.
Yes, sir.
Other questions? Craig Williams, I know you have a question. I can see it on your face.
I always have many, so.
Other questions?
Would you talk about the environment a little bit, about in all of these plans, I didn't hear mention of the city's concerns, and I know it's there, about protecting our environment, making sure that industries that come in are environmentally sound and so on. So could you comment on that for a moment?
Well, certainly. I think that anytime you're looking at a industrial prospect, you're looking for people who are environmentally friendly. I think that's going to be one of the things that our economic development department and the council's economic development committee would look at in evaluating anybody coming in. We do have a couple of people who are interested in Berea right now, and one is probably as green as you can possibly be. So those are things that we would look for, David, and that I would look for as mayor. Okay. I know there's a question in the back here. Maybe if we can.
Yes, you mentioned in your talk earlier about expansion of the regional airport.
Yes.
Could you talk a little more about what's...
Certainly. We have actually George White's here today. George could get up here and talk for longer than I did about the airport. He serves on our airport authority for Madison County. And I know right now the airport has undergone a runway extension, George, if I'm not mistaken, and plans are to increase the hangar, build a new hangar actually, and to modernize the airport. The EKU Aviation Program is the managing partner there. They're wanting to grow the program. They're kind of capped out right now. They can't increase that, that also provides additional economic opportunity for young people and people who are going for retraining right here in Madison County. If they can go through that aviation program, that's certainly a very desired career field, I think, for many people, and that program has grown, I think, beyond anybody's expectations. What we anticipate is the three governments, the City of Richmond, Madison County Fiscal Court, and the City of Berea, trying to make equal investments in the airport because it will help all three governments without any doubt. I think it's going to help us with our economic development, and it also helps to keep people here. George will tell you stories all day about people that fly in that are in our local industry. They fly in, it's convenient to get to the factories, whether it's in Berea, Richmond, Duncannon Lane, of course. They can get right back on and go on their way. He'll also, and Chuck Conley, that's on with him, will even tell you about a small jet that pulled in with a prospect, and years ago, they stopped at the airport, got out of the airport, looked around, got right back on the plane and left. So we can't have that. We need to modernize the airport, and I think it has great potential for a positive economic impact on our city and the county as a whole, and even the region, because Gary County, Rockcastle County, Estill County, surrounding counties are all serviced by our regional airport, thus the name. Did I do okay on that, George? Thank you. George has trained me up. Good question, thank you. Other questions? I'm happy to answer any questions until David gives me the hook. All right, I'm hearing the hook. So thank you all again for being here. It means a lot to me to see so many of you here for my first State of the City address. I hope it wasn't too long, and I hope you found it informative and the information useful. So thank you again very much, and thanks to the Chamber.